What is up, everybody? I have no idea where the mic was muted, but it was. It is Dennis and Andy. Don't adjust your cameras. We will sit down, but Kor-Drath, Adriana t-shirts are in the house. If you have not got one of these awesome shirts that complements the OG Lilith shirt, what are you waiting for? There's the link. It's going to be popped in the chat. Go get yourself a shirt. We're going to start shipping these suckers out to everybody. It's not too late. You can match just nicely.
That's right.
And we're back. Okay, there you go, guys. Thank you for joining us. Tonight is the night. Yes, I am wearing pants because I knew I was going to stand up. I did have to remind Dennis to pull his up, though. He stood up when the trailer was still rolling, and I was like, Dennis, we have a problem. Nobody wants to see little Dennis. Pull your pants up. Yes, they do look good. You are correct. Go get yourself one. So yeah, tonight is the night. The campaign closes tonight. You guys want to get on it now. Books are at the, well, not the books, files are at the printer. They're just waiting on final order numbers. So don't miss out. Get on it. Because we got lots of great stuff, which we'll talk about later. But we do have a guest today. And I thought this would be kind of fun. We're going to talk about a movie. It is a movie I have not seen. It is a movie Dennis has seen. It is a movie our guest Shanth has seen. And they have different views on this movie. And now I'm torn. Basically, it's going to be which one of these guys sells this movie the best to get me to want to sit down and watch it, because I believe it's on Netflix. After what Dennis told me, I was a hard no. But then I talked to Shanth, and I was like, really? Well, Dennis has been known to do a little crack cocaine while I watch his movies, so maybe that's the problem. I'm not sure. But let's bring in our guest.
There was only one man for the job.
And his name is Shanth Enjeti. Hello.
Oh, hey guys, I didn't see you there. I was just kicking back and reading Kor-Drath by Andy Smith and Dennis Turner. How are you guys? Have you seen this thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm literally wearing it.
Oh, no kidding. What a coincidence. Well, it's great to see you guys. Do you guys know when this thing is going to close? I know there's a campaign going.
It is tonight. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is all.
It is that fun
amazing.
East Coast. That's what I don't like about Indiegogo. Most companies set things up for East Coast time, but not them. It closes at midnight Pacific time, so 3 a.m. our time. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, man, I'm excited though. It's been great. I was talking about the campaign when you were on the stream, and we were talking about just all the really cool bonus features and stuff like that that come with it, like all the perks, but also the way that the book kind of feels like, you know, an old Conan magazine in certain ways, you know, because you've got the little, the retro ads, you've got the stories, and then you've got that backup stories. That's just the first book. So I'm excited, man. I'm pumped for book two.
It's going to be fun. And, you know, that's why we decided to do a black and white version of this one, so we could get that feel of the old Savage Sword and Conan magazines. The only thing that stinks, and I did look into it, is I would love to have been able to print it on a newsprint type of paper, but not many people do that. And the ones that do, believe it or not, newsprint used to be the cheap way to go. Not anymore. Now newsprint can be more costly. So,
yep.
I came over early to Andy's because we got our minifigures in, and we have been putting them in the clamshells. So our 5-inch and our 3-inch ones, we sat there and we just clamshelled them.
Bitty one.
And we're getting those ready for shipping and stuff. So that was a great project before the show today.
Yep. We got some books arriving on Saturday. Some of the manga version of Kor-Drath The Reckoning arrive on Saturday from the printer. The layout for the Kor-Drath The Awakening layouts is at the printer. Things are all in play right now as we speak.
It's going to be awesome.
The modules are in hand. So all of you that back the module, we've got the outside of the module. That all turned out really nice. So you can see the old late 70s, early 80s style of the Dungeons and Dragons module. And I even did something cool. I created a nice hard copy of the player's map. So if your players don't like drawing their maps, I included this, but it doesn't have any of the secret doors and stuff that they would discover, so they wouldn't know any of the secrets. And of course, the interiors are just like the old modules from the 70s and 80s that we all kind of grew up with. Turned out great. The printing was absolutely fantastic. And we did get the mini print in. So Vordoom's mini print with the playable stats are in. And then we also did get, and I don't see it in here, we got the Dan Lawless and Bart Sears.
Oh, that's over there.
Yeah.
Oh, make yourselves big, guys. I want to see some of this stuff. The minifigs.
What's that?
Oh, make yourselves big. I want to see the minifigs and some of the prints you were showing. Really cool. There we go.
Yeah, well, those minifigs are blister packed up. That's what we did. I've got the 2-inch one here, little guy, but the detail came out real nice for the standard role-playing game size 2-inch figure. He came out great. We got the blister pack for him. Oh yeah, there he is. So yeah, all this stuff turned out.
This is the 5-inch size. Those that wanted not ones to role play, but they just wanted good detail, something to sit there. It comes with their base and everything like that. Because it comes with the base, he just clips right on, and away you go. And then we also got the 2-inch ones, and those are the ones that you can play with any of your role playing. If you play Dungeons and Dragons or Earth Dawn or Shadow Dark or any of those, absolutely. They all turned out fantastic.
They did. And then that is the mini print everybody's going to get as well because we hit the stretch goal. So every backer gets that too. So yeah, man, good stuff.
Bart Sears art and Lawless colors, great combo.
Can't go wrong. So the movie we're going to talk about, Horizon. Part 1 or chapter 1. Is it chapter or part? I don't even know.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Yep.
And Dennis told me that he would rather be dipped in boiling oil and have his flesh rotted off than have to sit through it again. And
you told me before I came on here that Dennis loved it.
No.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, all right.
Wow, you were misinformed again.
I love controversy.
I changed I think they changed officially the name of it now. It's an American Horizon, an American saga. End of a chapter, end of an era, end of a career.
Cold-blooded.
So,
yeah.
You liked it.
I do. I love America, obviously. So if you love America, it's a movie that you're really going to enjoy. It's
wow.
I mean, Dennis does
that's a leap of logic right there.
Dennis does.
Well, if something's called an American saga,
so I am preferential to Starfleet Academy, so I guess you do have me there. But that is San Francisco.
That's San Francisco. That's right. So yeah. So let me give you my thoughts on it, and then I really do want to hear your thoughts, Dennis. And maybe it'll shift things a little bit or whatever. But I'm sure you're a Western fan. Can we agree on that? You like Westerns, like they're Westerns you like, not like a wild Western fan.
There are some Westerns I like. I am not a genre enthusiast of Westerns, but there are Westerns that I do like, particularly John Wayne's and Dances with Wolves.
Come on.
Dances with Wolves, one of my favorites. That's why I was really excited for this.
Unforgiven.
Okay, gotcha.
Clint Eastwood.
I like Unforgiven.
So good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Unforgiven's great. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Unforgiven. So my favorite Westerns, and I'm a big Western fan. I got a painting of Woody Strode from Once Upon a Time in the West, and I did a paint, which is one of my favorite Western movies. And then another one of my favorite Western movies, I did a painting of, but I don't have it with me. It's over at the other studio, and that's to Open Range, Kevin Costner's Open Range. And one of the things I like about Westerns are the slow pace feels very, when they're slower paced and it feels very true to life. And then the violence or the drama is sudden. And that was one of the things that really kind of got me about this flick. So there's some, for the basics, right? There's some beautiful wide panoramic shots. But what I like about this movie is it deals with debunking the myth of we showed up here with, vacuum cleaners, electricity, and air conditioning. There were some Native Americans who were here, and they were, flower children. It was the 70s. And then we just cruelly just wiped everybody out. And it shows you that you had a high probability of dying from natural causes or accident, just being out in the West, and that you were taking your life in your own hands. And there's a sequence in this movie that I really particularly enjoy after a really kind of brutal scene where this new sort of settlement starts, where they arrive on the scene, the first people to get there, and they see that there's a father and son who have been murdered and left for dead by Native Americans, and they decide to settle the area. Then they're all wiped out, essentially, and the U.S. Army, the Union Army, comes and they go. So who were the first settlers here? And they point to 2 tombstones. Said, what happened to them? And they go, they were killed. And they go, and so when we got here, and they go, so, and that didn't give you a warning not to settle here? And he goes, well, we settled on the other side of the river. And the Union soldier goes, and how'd that work out for you? And I just fucking died, right? So it's got these moments of where you realize that people weren't kidding around. There weren't, red team or blue team. There was Native Americans helping to track and hunt down rival tribes. And the same thing goes with, the settlers from Europe and everywhere else. So just a badass kind of slow burn Western for me. It is much more like a serialized thing. Like it ends on a cliffhanger. It ends on you're setting things up for the next flick.
Right.
That I will definitely say. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a part 1 movie. I agree with what you say in terms of, it showed the true horrors of settling in the West, and it's cinematic, it's beautiful. But then again, playing Oregon Trail kind of did the same thing as a kid, and it was more fun. I will just say, I love Kevin Costner. I love him as an actor.
Yeah.
Like I said, Dances with Wolves. I can watch that movie every other day. It's just that good. So when he was putting this together, the only thing, my wife and I sat down to watch it and we're like, all right, are we getting Dances with Wolves? Or are we getting Waterworld? I just don't know what we're going to get. Maybe we'll get in the middle and it'll be The Postman. I don't know.
That's right.
But boy, it's, we can't wait to see it. And to say it's a slow burn, we have seen some slow burns. That is the understatement. The character development was really lacking. I wound up not caring. Now, my wife and I don't talk through movies, so we didn't even talk about it till afterwards. I mean, I was sitting there going, "Oh, wow, oh, really? This is slow, and it feels disjointed in some of the areas." And I was just like, "Okay." We got done, and I was like, "It was beautiful looking, and it was realistic, but it was not engaging. There was very little." And I looked at my wife, and I was waiting for her to go because she loves all Westerns. I thought he was going to go, oh, when the next one comes to the theater, we're going, right? And I was going, oh, boy, I'll go if she makes me. And then she goes, wow, I hated that. I was so bored. I'm like, oh my God, we agree. So yeah, no, there was very little that I took away other than if you want some beautiful cinematography, it was just not engaging at all for me. So yeah, I'm more in the Waterworld and on this one than I am on Dances with Wolves.
Well, you should know one of our guilty pleasure movies in this house is The Postman. And we quote it to each other all the time because the first thing, let's talk about The Postman just for a second. I was terrified that all of the people with American accents were killed and everyone had a British accent in the apocalypse in America. That did scare me a little bit. I was thinking, man, we stand no chance. But I'll look at her every now and again and I go, you give out hope like it was candy in your pocket. And she just starts dying laughing. But so here's the thing for me, right? So when I'm watching a Western as just a big Western fan, and there's movies I lump into Westerns that I'm not saying this movie is like, but this may sound like an odd one, that they're post-apocalyptic kind of Westerns. I'm a huge fan of The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
I don't know if
good.
you guys
Yeah,
have seen
yeah.
it. But I love that flick. But the thing for me with Westerns that I get frustrated with from time to time is the pacing seems too modern. And it doesn't really transport you to the West because you don't get to see the little things. So the stuff I appreciate about Costner is funny enough, the attention to detail that I get to take in. So when you see the father and the son, and they're out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and they've got these little stakes they're hammering in the ground, measuring, and I'm laughing going, who would care? There's like 70 miles of nothing around you, and you just got this little yardstick with string, and it's showing the absurdity of not the absurdity, but the isolation of claiming land in a place where you don't know what the threats are. And then the kind of comedy of errors when somebody else does it there. And I think that having your for me, and what I love to see in a Western is that there's so much boring stuff around you, and you always have to have your wits about you, because right over the horizon, right over the next hill is your death, either from natural causes or from, being attacked by some other Europeans who want your land that you might not know. They could be criminals. They could be one of many Native American tribes or the locals. And so I like the fact that you're having to sit there and you're sort of going, all right, so these are the things about the West that we're losing. And again, that's why I think this movie is really important. It's because we've been hearing for a very long time this narrative of we came over here with tanks in the 1600s. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
No.
it was
The narrative is
so
we came
bizarre.
over here. Basically, it's like, oh, Native Americans, kill them, just kill them.
Yeah. And then you
Slaughter 'em.
see sequences that I'm very concerned when I watch these movies now. Hail Doc Brewski. It's good to see all of you guys in the chat, by the way. We're talking Kor-Drath today. It's the last day. If you have not backed Kor-Drath 2, the sequel, do it. The link is in the description. Sorry, I had to go there.
Did you see did you watch American Primeval on Netflix?
No, I haven't yet. Should I?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you like down and dirty, gritty, I mean, this movie takes place around 1856, I believe. If you like really, gritty, no pulling back type Western early settler stuff, I mean, this movie's got it.
But
I mean,
it's based around the Mormons.
Yeah, it's based around the Mormons.
Oh, wow.
If you're a fan of the Mormons, I don't think you'll be friendly to the take that they put on it.
Yeah.
But wow. It is in your face, brutal, and but it's very honest, because they do dwell into historical moments. So yes, that would be one to watch, and then we should have you back on and chat about that, because that's a completely different than Many Wives Mormons.
It's
Brigham Young. It is literally about Brigham Young.
Brigham Young is in it.
I've not heard of this.
It's on Netflix. It blew up. It's 6 episodes, roughly around 45 minutes average each. I binged it in like 2 days. It is fucking brutal. There's this big battle that they show, and they basically filmed it in one shot, following the main characters as they try to survive it and stuff. And it's based on a real battle that happened. The only thing obviously they threw in was the story point with these two characters and whatnot.
Yeah, because if you look up Jim Bridger, he's got the Outpost that's out there, and when you start looking him up historically and stuff, you're like, oh yeah, no, that really did happen. So it's very, like I said, it is definitely worth a watch, especially if you are that demographic that they're aiming for.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. You guys just got me thinking about this as well. Here's another thing I really liked about Horizon, and there's been a few Westerns that have done it, but this one, it really seems to underline it. we've been living, all of us have probably, you know, been, again, raising our kids at similar time periods. Like mine are probably the youngest out of everybody's. Mine are turning 20 next year. But we've all kind of had, you know, that particular experience. And I think we all remember the level of self-sufficiency you had to have when you were our age, right?
Oh, yeah.
You walk up to the convenience store, and I was in Detroit, you know, at this time, walk up to the convenience store to grab a few things, you know, you're 5 or 6 or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. And what I really liked about it is by the time you were old enough to stand and could hold a gun, you were responsible for the protection and the safety of your family, young men, young women, all of that stuff. You were seeing that you had to have a certain expectation. And the thing that was really fascinating to me was watching, it was just great context for right now, the expectations on young people and the maturity that you had to have. And at one point, that beautiful juxtaposition, I'm sure you remember this scene, Dennis, where you've got the British couple, who seem like they're from somewhere in New England. I don't know. No, the British couple who were just like, you're just looking at them and you're like going, like, here's my selling point for part 2. Okay, here's my selling point to you, Dennis. Watching what happens to them.
Then, I guess.
Yeah.
Part 2?
No, I haven't yet, but I'm saying inevitably, I think Dennis and I both know what's going down for that dude. But there's this couple, and he's sitting there, and he's kind of sketching and thinking, oh, this world, and she's like, oh, these people, and everyone else is working. Every single other person, as they're going out to the West, is working, and they're just kind of like going, oh well. And at one point, an actor who I really like, he's great when he's in the right stuff, is Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
Right. And Luke comes up and he goes, you see all these people doing something? Go get off your ass and do something and help. And he kicks the guy in the ass, and the woman is like, well, you know, why are you doing that? What are you going to do? Kick me in the ass? He's like, I might. He's like, I might just do it. Move your ass. And I guess we talk about indie comics a lot as kind of the Wild West. And I actually got a chance to do my first Western illustration, right, for a comic in this space for Razor Fist with Ghost of the Badlands. And the thing that is so cool to me about it is there's this level of self-sufficiency. You guys are talking to, I mean, we all count on each other too. That's the funny thing, like a wagon train, right? But it's you show the minis. Think of everything that went into that, right? Yep. Hiring people, getting those printed up, and then hand packing everything, the posters, the prints, contacting artists. We are essentially self-sufficient. So if you're sitting around, you know, kind of just, you know, picking your ear and going, why aren't things happening? This space is not the right idea, you know? And it's I love that. I like seeing young people and families and those bonds and those responsibilities for every member of the family showed on screen, and also showing the real stakes that are involved. You know, the real stakes that are involved for families there. And I don't know, there's so many moments. If you like a good, you know, father-son moment, there was a father-son moment that I really don't want to spoil, but Dennis, you probably know the one I'm talking about, where a son has this moment where he realizes that he's not a kid anymore and that he belongs with the men.
Yep. And then you realize, and then you look at it and you go, but I mean, technically the kid's 5, so he really still is a kid.
You know, he was actually, the scary part was he was 45.
He was 45 and he realized,
yeah, he was like,
70. I'm not a kid
I can't be in this baby outfit. Mom,
I don't know. I'm kind of torn. No, Paul, I have not seen the movie. That's the thing. I was excited for it.
Yeah.
And then Dennis and his wife watched it over the weekend that it came out and told me what he thought of it. And I was like, oh, really?
See, in everything you just said, that's why American Primeval, now I'm saying you need to watch it because everything that you like, it's in this. The main character is she's the girl from The Hunt. I forgot her name off the top of my head.
From which one?
But she's from a city. She comes in there. She knows nothing about Western life. She's trying to get there. She's got her younger son who has to become a man and go through it. It is done in such a captivating, great way. Like I said, when you're going to sit there and compare Horizon and you're going to compare this, in my book, it's not even close. This just blew it out of the water. So I definitely think you need to watch that to compare the two, because everything you're saying that you enjoy is in this in spades in the other show.
Well, you know, it's interesting too, because I like different movies for different qualities, like even just in terms of the Westerns that I watch. And while I wouldn't count this, the movie I'm about to bring up, as a Western, it's such a huge influence, and it's not like you'll go, what? It's not a 1-to-1, but one of my favorite movies of all time, because it has that element of the adventure, but also the romance, is Michael Mann's Last of the Mohicans. I don't know if you guys remember that movie. I had a crush on Madeline Stowe in that movie, like you wouldn't believe. I was just like, I want to marry her, you know, but I was in middle school, and she was stuck up. And the thing is that I watched that movie, and I remember watching the battle scenes, the battle layouts. It was influenced by N.C. Wyeth's paintings for Last of the Mohicans, which I think actually I have next to me right now. I have all of my favorite books, and I have the Last of the Mohicans with the illustrations by N.C. Wyeth.
Oh, cool.
And they rephotographed them, and they put them in this book, and then they also photographed the type, right? So you get paintings, if you know N.C. Wyeth, where you know, the fights on the edge of the rocks. For me, this Daniel Day-Lewis's Hawkeye was just incredible. But you get these moments, and what makes me love, you know, high adventure, like there's actually a sequence, I don't know if you remember this, where the French and the British take a pause to kind of try to find terms of surrender. This shot is in the movie. That's how influential it was. Oh my gosh, Monroe bowing to I forget the name of the other guy, the French guy, but it was. I love that kind of stuff, and so for me, much the same way with N.C. Wyeth and Westerns. If you're a fan, here's what I would say: if you're a fan of seeing the kind of the details, day-to-day aspect of life in the West, and with the punctuated by those dramas, I think you're going to like it. If you're looking for something that is drama driven, like from the next thing to the next thing, and the drama is not so spread out, you're not going to probably like it. I don't know, but it's tough, because then I see, you guys know what I mean. You see movies you'd swear someone likes, it was going to love, and then they don't like it. And
I think Andy should
I don't
watch
know.
it either way.
I mean, I might.
It reminds me.
I might give it a shot.
It reminds me of, in a way, what was it? It was Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman. Was it Far and Away?
Oh God, I can't do that. I'll agree with you on that movie. I can't do. I know what you mean. Yeah,
the remnants of them going out there and having to do it. That's kind of what it reminded me of. Not Eyes Wide Shut. So don't, guys out there. Don't
not that one. No,
a movie out there. But see, I grew up with an Amish Ninja. His list was great. He goes, I'm a John Wayne fan. Rio Bravo, El Dorado, McClintock, Big Jake, Rooster Cogburn. My dad was John Wayne 24 hours a day. My dad was a Western fan. McClintock is one of my favorite Westerns of all time. It's just classic for what it is. We even drove to Gene Autry's boyhood home, because my dad was the biggest Gene Autry fan in the world. I even got a comic book signed by Lash LaRue and stuff. You know, there are a lot of great guys out there. So you know what? There is a place for it. I think we just talk Andy into watching it and just see where he falls down on it.
Agreed.
Everybody.
I might give it a shot. Now I know it's 3 hours, so I can't honestly say. You know, if it starts off and it's kind of slow, it might take me a couple sittings, but I'll try to get through it in one, because I'd rather do that. But I mean, honestly,
take you a couple sittings if you.
For my money, the most down-to-earth, realistic Western movie ever made. Dialogue and everything.
Star Wars,
Blazing Saddles.
Of course. Hey, listen. Let's talk about, if we have a second here, let's talk about Blazing Saddles, which has just been, so people ask me if you could do any, you know, that quote that they have, if you could do any other profession other than your own, what would you like to do? No word of a lie, mine is film restoration. And I love film restorers are my heroes, and they just did a 4K remaster of Blazing Saddles.
Did they really?
I did not know that.
Gorgeous, guys.
Really?
It is, the colors pop. It's not, this is the thing I gotta say. The chances that you're gonna see, if you were seeing movies back in the day, the first most pristine print in the world is very high, particularly if you're growing up in Chattanooga, right? So what I always tell people is seeing these 4K remasters these film restorers do is like being on set. It's not like seeing it for the first time. It's like you're actually there. And when those actors, everybody in that hit it out of the park. The script was outstanding.
Oh yeah.
It's a masterpiece of film.
But some of those restorations fall flat. And the example I'll give, this was, I don't know, this was 8-9 years ago. I was in San Diego and show was over. My buddy and I were hanging out at a bar before we were going to drive back to LA. And on the TVs, they had, I'm trying to think. I think it was Return of the Jedi. Is Return of the Jedi the one? What's the one with the little, oh my God, now I'm blanking on
Green
him.
guy?
No, the little fuzzy bastards running around.
Oh, yeah, Return of the Jedi. Ewoks.
Which one was that?
Return of the Jedi.
Okay, so it was Return of the Jedi, and it was remastered and, beautiful digital and everything. But here's the problem. In specific scenes, I thought it was bad because they had everything in the same focus. They had Han and Luke and Leia when they're on the planet with the Ewoks, and they're in great focus. Everything's crisp and clear, but then the trees behind them are in the same freaking focus. And it looked like a play. Yeah, it looked like a play. You could tell that those trees weren't real, and it looked totally like a set. And I'm like, this should not have been remastered to this extent. Or you got to realize there's focus. Keep them in focus and then blur the background out some like it would be shot.
Paul just said what I was going to say. They should have remastered it to what it should have been. They weren't supposed to be Ewoks. They were supposed to be Wookiees. They were supposed to be on Karnak, Karshik, whatever the name, their proper name is for their. And they went Ewoks to appeal to the kids. So yeah, I get it.
Here's the most criminal restoration that I've seen, and it is criminal. Like it's the worst thing I've ever seen happen to a movie in terms of a significant pop culture movie. Was the restoration they did on the 1989 Batman.
Oh,
because they tipped everything teal. They changed the colors. So it was an earthy, I'm not joking. It was an earthy, deco, kind of dingy town, and they made everything cyan. They tipped everything green-blue, and it looks horrific. It looks like they were trying to modernize it or something, but they changed the color. And then they changed I think you could get a track with it that had the old ones, but they updated the effects because they used a lot of stock sound effects. And so they replaced the sound effects. And if you've watched a movie and fallen in love with it that many times, you don't want to hear different sound effects for it. People are just like, what are you doing? I want to see the movie. So they actually changed the movie, both in terms of color and in terms of sound. And I still hold on to my Blu-ray copy because I do not want
I'll have to just try and find a clip just to see it. The one movie, though, so Superman, the original Superman, when they did the 40th anniversary of it.
The Richard Donner version.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the original Superman is. Superman 2's the Richard Donner.
Right, but I'm saying that.
But the original Superman movie, when they did the 40th anniversary, what was that, 77 or 78 it came out? Whatever, 2017, 18, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We went and saw it, and I still love that movie, but the two areas in that movie that if they were to go back in with today's technology and redo, I wouldn't have a problem with, are in the beginning when Krypton is going to shit because it really looks like the actors are just doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the sets look awful. And then when the dam breaks and you're like, oh, it's a miniature. Yeah. The whole city's a miniature with the water. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like as a kid, I wasn't thinking anything. I was 7, 8 years old. Maybe in my teens, I don't remember, but I might have thought something. But now, seeing the 40th anniversary, I'm like, oh my God, those look like little toys. That wouldn't bother me if they were to actually fix that. Could they make Superman flying better today? Of course. But I think it's so good still for back then. I wouldn't touch any of the human stuff except for Krypton, because that could be done better. And then definitely get rid of the models with somebody off camera with a bucket of water dashing it down.
Yeah, there are certain movies that are good when you remaster them. Other ones don't need to be. The Blade Runner, I've got the I think it's a steel box with I think all 4 or 5 versions of the different edits, and it's fun. I had one weekend where I just literally sat down because you want to try and figure out what are all the little changes and actually experience them versus just reading them. But the other one would be the original Star Trek series. You know, they remastered those, and it's not just the special effects, but even on the planets and everything that they did. What an absolutely masterful job. It was great. My old Blu-ray player, when you put them in, you could play it, and then you could just hit the button, and it would swap, same scene, and it would just go back and forth between the new version or the old version, and you could replay the scenes and just see the difference. They did a great job with it. It was really costly, and I don't think they're going to do it for the later series. But
now, Paul, you do know, because you're right, that in theaters it was what you said, half Donner, and then he was replaced. But they put out a DVD called Superman 2, the Donner cut, which is totally different, and it is freaking fantastic. So if you haven't seen that, you need to see that. That's a DVD I still own. That is a great. Have you seen that cut?
Yes, I have. And if I had, with the technology they have today, the one thing I would love to see them do, because you wouldn't have to do, easy for me to say, but you have the actors, you have the performances, would just to be to get the costumes and things on model for those shots, those rehearsal shots they put in there. Because I think that just a few little things like that, it would be easy to do. And just beautiful. Yeah, I think that's the Superman to beat, and it has been since 78, I think. I don't know, maybe it was 79, but I think it was 78. And they're still selling merch from that movie. And it's the same thing I say about with Adam West's Batman. I raised my kids on Adam West's Batman. They loved that show, still holds up. Showed Superman to my son, particularly one of my favorite moments in a movie, just because it really endears you to Clark, is the conversation he has with his dad on the driveway, and then what happens at the top of that hill, at the top of the
hill. Yep.
And every time I see it, every single time, man, that gets me. But our kids, we raised them watching the remastered original series. And I don't remember which versions, like if it was the new special effects or just remasters, and of course, Next Generation. And our kids actually beat us at original series Star Trek trivia. That's how aware they were of the stuff. So they were watching that stuff, because I just always said to myself, there's a few things you should make sure you watch with your kids. That if I was going to design curriculum for K through 12, there'd be 2 things I would require every American kid to have watched in this country. And it'd be Star Trek and Twilight Zone. I think those movies are a really great, cultural education, to what are our values and how those, why do we have certain arguments, and how do you work through those? Like the monsters come to Maple Street. I forget which one it was, but it was what the name of the street was. But all of that stuff. And I saw someone in the chat ask what I thought of Sky Captain. I really love Sky Captain. Actually got in touch with and had the chance to help him with a pitch he was working on. Kevin Conran, the illustrator of the Sky Captain. He did all the concept art. His brother did the directing. And I think over there somewhere.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think I ever watched Sky Captain. I remember the trailer, and I just wasn't super fond of the look. And I knew how it was shot. I mean, that was a selling point behind it, or they were going for it.
It was interesting.
Growing up and telling your kids what movies they should definitely watch and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think it's important. Dennis and I were talking about that.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah.
The Art of Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. They released this a couple of years ago, and it is freaking amazing. This one dude is all Kevin Conrad stuff.
Yeah.
All the concept art and drawings. He came out of commercial illustration, so he could like Stelfreeze did too.
What is that like? I mean, that movie's like what, 20 years old, right? It's got to be.
I don't want to think about how old it is. I bet it's. I bet it's way older. Yeah, what did it come out? Did it come out in 2000 on the button there, or 2004 maybe? I don't know.
It was before my daughter was born. I know that.
Yeah,
but
so yeah, I actually got my son Sky Captain's plane. They had a toy of it on eBay, that came out around that time.
Oh, that's cool.
And, got to send when he was real little, and I sent because he was into aviation, still is. And I sent the photo to Kevin Conrad, and it gave him a smile. I said, "Hey, man, Sky Captain still happened." So, yeah,
that's cool.
Stuff,
that's really cool.
Yeah, cool people out there.
Everybody's got a movie. You said you got a spot that hits you every time. Mine's Star Trek 2. When Spock dies and Kirk, and they've got their moment, and he realizes he's dying, and then Scotty's playing the bagpipes in the back, and they're going through, and Kirk even quivers when he's saying, "My friend, none have ever been more human," and stuff like that. Every single time. I've seen that movie more than anything, even Top Gun, and it gets me every single time. My niece, my nephew, my kids, they laugh. They're like, "Really? You already know what's going to happen?" I'm like, "Yep," but it's so powerful. It's so emotional. It gets me every time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, for me, it's a
specific
scene. For me, it's a specific scene, and Debbie Does Dallas. It's that first penetration scene. I'm just blown away by it. I'm like, wow, look at her taking it.
No pun intended. So the thing about it, the thing for me is
a little tear in my eye. I'm like, oh man,
exactly.
What happened to good porn? Damn it.
Yeah, where's the story now?
Just ruined.
So when we saw, so the way that we gave these kids this experience, they're so lucky they don't even know it. So we found out that Wrath of Khan was going to be playing on the screen, on the big screen in downtown Providence, Rhode Island, at the PPAC, and William Shatner was going to do a question and answer afterwards.
Oh wow!
So we took our kids to see that, and he was hilarious. A woman in the crowd goes, "Boxers or briefs, Mr. Shatner?" And he sat there for a second, just looking. He goes, "Depends." Killed everybody. We just all died, man.
That's good.
Shatner's amazing. But yeah, we seeing that scene where he goes, where they're playing, Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. I mean, I'm already dead.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, look, I'm not Dennis knows, most people do. I like Star Trek, but I'm not like over the moon or anything. But yeah, I mean, that is just a fantastic scene. I mean,
yeah,
by all means. And I'm with, God, I always forget which one. Is it Aaron that likes Star Trek Wrath of Khan, and then Graham that likes Star Trek?
Graham thinks the motion picture is superior to Star Trek 2 in every way.
Right.
And Aaron, I side on with Aaron.
I'm with Aaron too.
Star Trek 2 is hands down my favorite movie. The most fun movie was Star Trek 4. I would say the most next hitting one was 6, The Undiscovered Country. But motion picture, while I remember seeing it in the theater, my mom, they would never take me. We were up visiting my grandmother when it came out. And I'm like, I want to go. And they're like, yeah, no. And we got home, and I finally said, I want to go. Why would you pay to see something that you could watch on TV? I'm like, this isn't on TV. This isn't the show. So they dropped me off at the theater, literally. They even slowed down enough. It was tuck and roll out of the car. They dropped me off at the theater, and they came and picked me up, but I got to go see it. It was a spectacle. It was just amazing, beautiful to see on the screen. But they were in different costumes, It was their new look. I love the ship. That is my favorite ship of all time. But the characters, I was like, oh, it's just kind of slow. It's like Horizon slow for me. It was just like,
it was so slow. I saw the 40th anniversary of that. We went and You weren't.
Wait,
but
was that the director's rework of it?
Yeah,
The one you saw?
40th anniversary.
yeah, they
that
did
was
a
in
director's
theaters?
cut.
Well, I saw a 40th anniversary that they released in theaters. I don't know what version it was. It was the first time I ever saw it, and it just bored the shit out of me. I was just like, oh my god.
Here's my take on it.
But
I love
Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
You know,
Wrath of Khan is pulled that franchise out because it was coming out in a time when Star Wars was science fiction, essentially, for everybody. Right. And people weren't interested in seeing a Robert Wise, the guy who directed, The Haunting and The Day the Earth Stood Still. I mean, Sound of Music. I mean, this guy was just an amazing director. I never got into the motion picture when I was younger, and then when I found out that they were going to do a director's actual supervised by Robert Wise, I checked that out and I really liked it. And then this is the funny part: when they did the director's cut with Robert Wise, they only rendered the effects to DVD quality. I don't even not even Blu-ray, like DVD quality. So just recently they redid all of it up to 4K for the motion picture, and for me, because Robert Wise was involved in it, my attitude is that's the cut of the film. And unfortunately, I mean, I've seen the original cut. I don't think it works. I think the newer cut is far more effective because it's hard to tell. But yeah, Graham and I he's my monster brother. So we have a lot of weird overlap and things we like. I actually think there's a case for the motion picture. I prefer Wrath of Khan because of all the moments you just said. You have those moments when you're younger.
Right.
They last with you forever. You can't undo that,
Right.
It's wild.
Paul Taylor, thank you for the $10. Grats on Kor-Drath. Thank you very much. Looking forward to reading it. Also enjoying the wide variety of topics today. You're welcome. And by the way, Paul, you mentioned the shirt last night.
Yep.
So these shirts, if you're a legit, you mentioned you got a 2X. If you're a legit 2X, it's comfortable, it fits fine, you're good to go. They fit the size they say. I wear a medium. This fits fine. So if you're legit 2X, you're good to go. It is cotton, so you do have to worry about a little shrinkage. So maybe air dry it.
That was one thing I was going to say. If you air dry, if you put it in the dryer and you put it on high heat, they will shrink. They're 100% cotton, and it'll go. So if you do dry them that way, go up one size just to be safe. But if you don't, yep, they are true to size.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, shirts today it's scary, the quality of the stuff that we have, man. The T-shirts from back in the day were not this good.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's the stuff, like we were talking about this before, and I remember indie comics. I remember getting stuff from First Publishing and things like that. And that stuff is all fine and everything like that. But guys, the quality that you're getting in terms of a book like this is something that I don't think any of us could have fathomed in the early days of the indie scene. No. Comics doesn't compare to this. The stuff they were doing at first. The tech has gotten so much better and much more cost effective. And these are beautifully done. I like to always get the main cover and then use the variant as my reader copy. So I've got the Bart Sears for First Man as my reader copy, and I've got this cover right here by Dan and of course Bud Root as my reader copy here. But they're beautiful books and just really great if you like. Sword and Sorcery, which I do, a huge influence on Nosfero is not the R.E. Howard's Conan. I prefer his Solomon Kane personally, but is John Milius's Conan, and that whole feel of it is something that inspired me. But that's why when I saw Kor-Drath, I was like, it's great to see you doing barbarian stuff and sword and sorcery stuff, because I think we could always use more of it. So great stuff.
Well, But while we're talking about crowdfunding stuff, why don't you, if you want to share your screen for Nosfero and your sign-up page, we can chat about that as well.
Absolutely.
Let
me see if I can get this to work here. Oh, wow. There we go. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I was going to say, and for all of you on YouTube or on Rumble, I've got the links to both of his right in the description, so you can just go down and do it. And if you're in Twitter and stuff, our guys always pop the links on Twitter in the comments. So if you're watching it that way, you have access there too.
Dennis uses the Lilith Bud Root cover for Kor-Drath: The Reckoning as his bathroom copy. And he really liked the fact that we went with a nice sheeny gloss cover because it wipes away clean. He said really easily.
Well, hey, listen, man. Budroot I got introduced to weirdly via Frank Cho's first art book. And it's like, who's this guy, Budroot? Right? Or it was because he was talking about him and he had some of his work in there. But I had no idea that there was an art book of his stuff until you told me about it, Andy. And I was like, this is awesome. So, yeah. Oh, awesome, Paul Taylor. Great stuff, man.
Yeah, and like Admiral says, it's Dennis's beater copy. So
there you have it, Admiral. Good to see you, man. So so I've got Nosfero here. And so Nosfero, for those of you guys who haven't seen the book, Nosfero is a Hammer horror meets H.P. Lovecraft fully painted comic book, but I always describe it as a gothic pulp adventure story. And there's two things I like about this campaign, and two things that have really made it just such a fun thing is, so I've been doing painted illustration work since I graduated from college. So I did a couple of like Harry Potter trading cards when I graduated, did some detail work for Wizards of the Coast, did some concept art, things like that. But I never have done a fully painted comic. And then I self-published and crowdfunded on Indiegogo 2 art books before I decided I was going to actually try to do a comic here in CG. And so the thing for me is that this book is the thing I am the most proud of that I have ever made.
Oh, yeah.
And so this has got an art edition on this campaign. So the art edition, for those of you guys who want to get the second chance, there's what I'm calling the oxidized edition. So it's going to have different bonus features, but it's the same story, same, everything. But I just want to name the new editions of the book. But if you're an art fanatic, and if you just like looking at like beautiful paintings and monsters and creatures and sexy women in diaphanous nightgowns, we've got you covered. So this is the art edition. I actually hand lettered the logo when I designed it onto the cover painting. So that was just all one painting. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I got to do this in digital to make it work with the book. But the art edition shows it. And this is the stuff that you're getting. And it's just this, my stuff is influenced by Frank Frazetta, Alphonse Mucha, big time, huge Mucha fan. And then, who else? Basil Gogos and, gosh, who else am I thinking of? I can't believe, Richard Corbin. So that's the stuff that I love. And the story is basically, I wanted to create a hero that was the Dracula for vampires, which is what they fear when they lay down in their coffins in the day. Right. And so I took this, and it's the most bizarre thing. When I designed this character, I had this piece of metal through his nose, which ties into his origin story, like just straight through his nose. And I said, I want to name him something cool. I know what I'll do. I'll take Nosferatu, and then I'll just make it like Nosfero, and it's a cool like Dracula word, and he'll be the bad guy. And then I went, wait a second. What if this means something that I don't know exactly what it means? And I'm going to regret that. So I typed it in and I translated it to Romanian. And the translation is Iron Nose. Oh. And I went, are you effing kidding me?
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. So here we go with the book with the script on it. So all these sort of bizarre happenstance things have happened. And there's, of course, what the vampires are basically cultists who are trying to open doors to bring about the oblivion of mankind. And so this is a shot of Laurel, who is the main sort of female love interest who spends all of her time either in a diaphanous nightgown or no nightgown at all. And because it does have, if breasts frighten you, this might not be your book. But and so she's being, I know, sorry guys, I know, one tear.
Breast frightened Dennis.
Exactly.
Chicken breast, because he can't eat chicken.
Well, no, those certainly don't frighten me, man. Now I'm hungry for chicken. But anyway, oh man, I miss the South for that reason. So when I look at this kind of stuff, I love the idea of just opening up these doors and having these Lovecraftian sort of creatures come out. So for people who aren't subscribed to my channel, I always start my stream with From the Heart of Lovecraft Country and the Birthplace of American Religious Liberty, because I went to college at RISD, where I taught for 15 years, which is mentioned in Call of Cthulhu. That's where the art student who sculpts the Cthulhu is from in Call of Cthulhu. My mentor, who taught Walt Simonson and me, we all three share the same birthday. And my mentor, God rest him, was 50 years to the day older than me. His studio is the studio the art student who sculpted the Cthulhu sculpture in Call of Cthulhu is in. And it was so Tom Seguros was me and art. Gosh, he's passed away now so many years, but he would have been 98 if he was still alive.
Wow.
But Tom. So then our first married apartment is a house mentioned in the Shunned House. And so the first copy of Nosfero, you can see the video on my channel, I delivered to H.P. Lovecraft, his grave in Providence. So I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. So the story of it is very much about a character who he has the ability to heal. So he has a healing factor, and and nobody knows why. This is in my book. It's an anomaly of nature. Like, it just happens. He's the one. Yeah. And so the vampire find him after they wipe out his whole family when he's a kid, and they basically just use him like a pony keg. They chain him up and they feed off of the guy.
Right.
And they can't turn him into a vampire, but he never runs out. And then one day they do this ritual on him because they just start to use him for experiments, and it gives him powers. He breaks free, lays waste to them, and dedicates his life to taking out vampire. And that's his story.
Nice.
There you go,
funny,
guys.
You said they chained him up and fed off him and stuff. I often have this dream where, like, when you have like a mouse or a gerbil, and you put the water in that container and it has that little angle cylinder thing that comes down and the mouse goes up and sucks the water off of it. My dream is I'm at a sorority house and they had me chained up to a wall, and they come and drink off of me and stuff.
Like, wow, that's a new definition of a glory hole.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you never know where things are going to go.
Oh, it's a glory
It could happen. I always say, when you wish upon a star. So.
I know. And then I always wake up at the wrong time. So, oh well.
Well, it's look, one of these days you'll get them. Don't you worry.
I will.
It's Spring Ball. The thing. So I know you want to talk a little bit about Spring Ball,
I do.
And I've got the link there. So Spring Ball was a comic book that I did in 2002. No, I'm not going to name my cat Torchbearer after Lovecraft's cat. But it's one of those things to where I did this comic book in 2002. So I self-published it when I was basically a newlywed. And we self-published this comic book. It got well reviewed. People liked it, but I was hand lettering it, penciling, inking it, and I was teaching myself Photoshop to color it.
Right.
And it was just not sustainable. It was really tough, and I kind of had to walk away from it.
Sure.
And then a friend of mine who I went to school with, who's an animator and also has a great YouTube channel, Rocky Ballesteros. This guy is an Emmy, was nominated for a daytime Emmy for his animation work. Great guy.
Oh,
cool. He mentioned the book, started showing it, and then Comic Skaters started buying the thing up, and its price started going up. And around that time, I came up with an idea for what I wanted to do with the story of it. And I found, and I came up with a story, and I go, I'm going to do how I always should have worked in comics, but the technology was so new to me. I'm not going to pencil and ink it and then color it. I'm going to color it, clean it, and then ink it. So I'm actually doing it like a painting. And so I started going into this stuff. And this, if I can make this work here. This
real quick,
is
Paul, thanks for the $10. You went back and reordered the larger size shirt. You're welcome. Nice. Dennis and I were literally talking about that before the chat because the stream.
We were on Katie Did's show last night, and we saw you pop that up there, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So glad you popped in.
Okay, so back to this now. So the project you're doing here are you doing republishing the old stuff with new stuff? Is it all new stuff? What's the deal? Because I think this is really cool.
I'm taking the book and completely reworking it such that at first I kind of tried to I was like, okay, I'm just going to clean this thing up, remaster it, change some word balloons. But because I hand lettered it, what I've done is I've gone in, reworked the entire thing, gone in, and the story is different. I painted out all the word balloons, repainted, changed, added different panels. Like, this is a completely new thing because I want the original books, which I still have a few of those kicking around, but I want them to stand for what that time and what they were. And this book is Spider-Man meets Evil Dead. That's the best way to pitch it. And it's just a wildly insane and crazy, book. And it's like Steve Ditko, meets H.P. Lovecraft. It's got, of course, a big Todd McFarlane influence but I always say this. I say it's a Moo Crew influence. So the biggest influences on this book are the Moo Crew from Todd Studios. So Todd, Orzechowski, and Olaf. And I'm hand lettering this thing, drawing the lettering in Photoshop for the effects. And then I created a font of my old lettering from the book to do the lettering on. So it's very handcrafted as a book. And the sign up for it, if I can stop sharing this, I'll share that. Yep. The sign up for it is, let me see here, right here. And guys, if you have not, if you want to see something that is going to just be insane and take you back, this book right here is, and I always got to say this too. I don't want this book. This isn't a retro book. It is, I mean, maybe aesthetically it has that element to it, but the story is very now. There's stuff in this book that are things that we talk about in Comicsgate that the mainstream wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, but all serving non-political, but all serving a message or not a message. What's that old saying? If you want to send a message, call Western Union. This is escapism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's all around the idea of this hero who is living in Kingsport, New England. I'm not going to give a state for it, but it's Kingsport. And he's always fighting all of these street level criminals, and there's all this evil stuff happening. And then these crazy two cultists and scientists start doing experiments that unlock the first real monsters he faces. So that's what you see in this book. You see the first book is us realizing that and realizing all of the stuff that's going on. So it's street level Lovecraft superheroism. It's badass, man.
Dude, I can't wait. When do you think you're going to actually launch it?
Soon. I want to try to launch it within a month.
Oh, cool.
And so I know that we've got Pigman launching, I think, on the 21st of February, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like, yeah.
Yeah, and so I know that's going to be launching then. So I might be doing. My plan is this. So Nosfero is funding right now, and so what I'm going to do is when I launch this campaign, once I get to the 2 months and I get to the in-demand phase, I close Nosfero. So I want to keep a campaign open at all times, because doing it the other way around is just too brutal. And so I'm going to release it then. And so, as soon as possible, because I want to wrap Nosfero up. I want to close that and get that fulfilled. But sign up for it, guys. It's going to be badass.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, it's got a great freaking McFarlane-esque type influence. It looks cool. He's my favorite,
like
that. Huh?
Yeah. He's my favorite, man. I mean, I'm sure I told you this story, but when I met Todd McFarlane when I was 14 years old, I was like number 300 and something in line because he was Spider-Man 1 had just come out.
Yeah.
And I finally get up to the front of the line, and it's like nightmare fuel. And I've got my Hulk versus Wolverine poster, Hulk 340, my favorite McFarlane piece.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, yeah, do you want me to sign it to you? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And he goes, what's your name? I go, Shanth. And he starts writing. And I'm like, oh, God. Like, he tried to write my name, and I didn't spell it for him. He spins the poster around, and he spelled my name correct.
Wow.
He did.
I couldn't spell my name correct if you sounded it to me. Like, how did that happen? And then we take a picture with him, and he says, I'm sorry you had to wait in line, so long, bud. And he gave me an original page.
Of what?
The last page of Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not on it, not that I give a damn. And it's the down shot of the house with the eye, and Aunt May has 6 months to live. It's in Assassination Plot.
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
And I basically went, for me, I was born in Texas, growing up in Tennessee, and I love comics. I love America, but sometimes it was kind of tough for me to sort of you can imagine. But it was like I never people would be like, so what's your nationality? I'm like, American. I love America. Like, America's my country, and I don't care about it for the woke reason shit. but I love this country, and it was always kind of a tough thing. And having, granted, he was a Canadian, but he was born in California. But having this American art form, these American artists, comic shops were where I found the people who were like, you're one of us. Comic creators is where I found that. And Todd was like that for me. And so, as you guys know, in comics, they never needed to bring diversity to comics. We were already here. We were already here. My mentor is Brian Stelfreeze. You know what I mean? It's like we were already doing all this stuff. And so, for me, I feel like I've benefited so much from America and things like that. When I'm doing Nosfero or Spring Ball, I feel like I want to promote what's great about Western culture. You know, we're not going to, we can have sexy characters. We don't have to cover everything up. That America is great and Western culture is great. And you know, they should be championed and celebrated. And so everything I do, you know, I've always got on the back of my books and at the end of my streams, made with liberty in the USA, because that's my thing. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. But you know all this, Andy and I, we didn't know each other, but we collaborated in our youth.
That's right.
Totally by happenstance. Actually, hang on a second. Let me see if I can find that. One second.
All right, you do that. I'm going to pull up Kor-Drath.
You guys have to understand how creepy Comicsgate is, okay? So Dan Lawless delivered newspapers to my house in Michigan. This is my first
there it
job.
is. Yeah,
Threshers.
that's it.
And Andy worked on the cover of my first pro job, and then this is my early stuff, and I did the interior. So I saw that cover.
It's black and white on the inside, right? Oh
no, it's color.
Okay.
Yeah. It was colored by a guy who was pretty good.
That's right. We worked out a deal for doing the covers to have an ad in the back for Ominous Press,
guys, too. Look at how cool this is. Everything lines up, man. It's so scary, man. Comicsgate creeps me out. I say that with love. But it's like, make it happen for Kor-Drath, guys. It's a big night for my brother. Let's do it.
That's right, guys. It is closing tonight. We will be streaming later, of course. So we're gonna create the stream, so you'll get a notification before we go live, but it should be around 7 o'clock. And then
and it's closing time.
Yeah, I thought about playing it. Who cares? I don't need that stream to get monetized. Which so yeah, go check it out. Go back it. $61,288, 856 backers. We want to close at over 1,000 backers. I have faith we can do it. If you're just joining, if you like Conan, Game of Thrones, Dungeons and Dragons, we mixed them all up in a pot, poured out Kor-Drath, the Reckoning, Kor-Drath, the Awakening, the World of the Shattered Reach, Adriana, Vordoom the Undying, the Necronite, Lilith, multiple covers to choose from. They need to save the Shattered Reach from the evils of Vordoom, the Necronite, and Lilith. This book is like an onion, many layers to peel back of the story. And like I said, the printer has the files. We're just waiting for the final numbers, which we should have tomorrow after the campaign's done, so we can split up the covers and give the printer the go-ahead.
And if you guys see right there, you can buy Dennis and Andy a beer if you've already supported it.
That's right.
Because we will be doing it's become a ritual now. We've got a brewery and we live stream
We don't own a brewery. Let's just,
we have a brewery in town and they give us the back room and we live stream from it. And a number of you that are in the chat, you're local and you guys come down and we stream and it's our way of, you thank us for it. We thank you. It's a great way to spend the money. We get drunk, talk to you guys. It's a great time. And Marcus is usually on and he spilt the first beer last year. So we will get to see who does that again this year.
He's not allowed this year. And he says we get drunk. He gets drunk. He's a lightweight. He drinks his one beer. Oh, I'm a little tipsy. And I'm like, well, we got a few more to go, big guy. So suck it up. But it is a fun time. We get pizza and stuff. And it's good times. We usually reserve it for right around when we're done doing fulfillment or maybe halfway through. It just depends. So there you go, guys. Definitely check it out. These are the two stretch goals everybody gets. The Vordoom playable character card and the print featuring Bart Sears and Dan Lawless, the cover to the game module. So go check it out and back it, because it is coming down tonight. So
that's right.
You guys won't regret it. I mean, if you love beautiful artwork and you love beauty, man, get this book, because to me, one of the things that I love about it is it's the classical drawing, and then at the same time, it's not retro. Well, there's some cool retro stuff in it. It's classical storytelling for now, and that's what makes it so cool. And Dennis just brings, I don't know if you guys can tell this, but Dennis and I, while we may disagree on some things, probably would have played D&D together if we'd known each other coming up. You know, maybe some Dark Sun. I don't know. Sometimes you go off the tracks a little bit. You don't know.
Dark Sun. Whoa!
Right?
Wow.
See, you know,
those of us that need stone for our weapons. Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh, Dennis is talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Here we go. See, I told you. We get on. We're from the same place. We know.
We're playing this Sunday. I'm creating one. So yeah, we're actually playing Shadow Dark this weekend.
Coming down or going up?
Probably going up.
Nice.
Very nice.
I know what he's talking about. Well, that's cool. We're going to bug out now because we'll be back around 7 o'clock. So we want to eat dinner, get a little rest in, because it's going to be a long night.
Then I'll be driving home, and then we will be hopping back on. So
I'll be posting the link, of course. So if you want to join us, you're more than welcome to.
Of course, man. Thank you guys for having me on again. And I'm so excited for Kor-Drath, man. Let's do it. Tonight's going to be big.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be fun. We're really looking forward to it. So until then, everybody, let's see. Usually I have it automatically queued up, but it was acting kind of funky.
Yeah,
so
it was glitching. Mine's glitching. His is glitching. It's just a glitchy.
Everything's glitchy.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, join us at 7 o'clock tonight. Kor-Drath Closeout Part 1, Part 2.
Live long and
hopefully
prosper.
be on Ethan's channel. See you guys later.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.